This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by Gems Art Studio. This video is also brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Hey, so this video is actually going to be handled a bit different than normal. So I fucked up pretty severely, and I didn't record video when I watched this video. So I'm going to have to put it together in post. There's going to be lots of still pictures of me in this one, unfortunately. That's just how it's going to be, because I have all the audio put together. So I apologize. Still photo of me throughout most of this. But the good news is I caught it for the end, so my conclusion will be in full video, so hey. Hello again, yes, I am covering Nerdrotic once again. At 500,000 subs, his M-She-U thing seems to be really taking off, and just the other day he posted his Doctor Strange 2 video, which I find interesting. I think he's even mentioned in the other videos I watched about how Doctor Strange? I have Doctor Who on my mind because of the recent news. I actually do have a video on that coming up, but that's for another day. But Doctor Strange is somehow part of the M-She-U, which I don't understand that at all. I using the Moonlight logic, because Layla was a supporting character that wasn't a complete damsel in distress. Maybe I would assume his logic is that America Chavez is the main character in Doctor Strange 2. But she's not. She's not who the story's about. The story is predominantly about Doctor Strange. And I don't even know how he could call this about the M-She-U, because it also features a character. I mean, spoilers. I'm sure he's going to spoil the shit out of it. But in that movie, Wanda goes completely insane and kills a lot of people. So that's not a strong and powerful woman. That's a woman who's just completely fucking psycho. So, yeah, I don't know what his argument's going to be. But yeah, somehow Doctor Strange 2, I'm sure he'll probably figure some way to make it part of the M-She-U. And I'm actually kind of shocked at how much the whole idea of the M-She-U seems to be taking off, because yeah, I'm seeing lots of other channels cover it, and I'm getting scared because it's such a sexist and bullshit idea to begin with. But you know what? We're not here to talk about those other channels. We're talking about Nerdrotic. And yeah, his videos, I really dislike them. They're really cringe, but there's something about them. It's like, I don't know, it's like a car wreck. Like, you know it's awful. You know there's nothing good to come of it. But you just gotta look. I don't know how else to describe his videos, because they're dreadfully bad. But, I don't know, maybe he has 500,000 watchers from the cringe watchers, like me, where I'm like, ooh, this is bad. But you know what? We're gonna watch it. We're gonna see his Doctor Strange 2 video. This one's just, not beta this time, but mess. Doctor Strange 2, an unmitigated M-She-U disaster. Sure thing, buddy. Sure thing. Let's see. Get the hell out of
here! I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. You're trash, bro. Stings, doesn't it? She doesn't know what you are. I'm gonna cry.
Was it Bully Maguire just because it was a Sam Raimi movie? I'm confused. Why? I mean, I'm all for some Bully Maguire. Bully Maguire can be fun as fuck. But, I don't understand what did you just want to do a Bully Maguire thing? That's all I get. I guess that's fine. Hardly the best Bully Maguire thing I've seen, but okay.
Nerdrotic.com.
Hollywood has a couple of problems. One is obvious, it's a giant woke disaster, and the other one is it's filled with writers who don't read, not even comic books.
You were the one who was like, we need a villain. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like, it's about grief. Grief's the villain. I don't know if we need a villain.
Are you stupid or something?
What's wrong with what she's saying? What's wrong with grief being a villain? That's actually more interesting than actually having, like, in some ways, Agatha, like, I love the character of Agatha in WandaVision, but in some ways it was kind of disappointing that there was, like, a villain behind a lot of it, because, yeah, I kind of like the idea of just, like, yeah, grief.
You were like, yeah, we need a villain. I'm like, well, but do we need a villain?
I was raised on comic books, so I knew.
What? Yeah, comic books usually have, like, a person as a villain, but Jesus Christ, man.
When it comes to Doctor Strange 2, I am not going to lay the responsibility of this being a giant mess at the feet of Sam Raimi, the director of Spider-Man 2, one of my favorite superhero films of all time, the creator of the Evil Dead franchise, including Ash vs. Evil Dead, one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. He has proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that when he's left alone, he can be brilliant, but it happened to you again, Sam, and it's Spider-Man 3 all over again, except
This is way better. This Doctor Strange 2 was really, I mean, you saw my podcasting. It was way better than Spider-Man 3. And it also feels a lot like a Sam Raimi movie. He does a good job getting his feel through the MCU.
except Doctor Strange 2 is worse.
Worse than Spider-Man 3. Okay, sure.
That's right, I said it. I'd take Bully Maguire over this any day. Doctor Strange 2 was supposed to be Marvel's horror film, but the only thing that ended up being horrific was the dialogue.
I don't even want to know.
And once again, we get that twisted Hollywood morality, the same Hollywood morality that gave us Wonder Woman the Rapist, female Mengele in Black Widow, and of course, Wanda Maximoff, who enslaved an entire town of men, women, and children and put things right.
Okay, so it was addressed in WandaVision that what she did was wrong. That was an issue. What were the other ones? Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, well, okay, number one, I think calling her a rapist is a bit much. I don't know. It's kind of pushing it, calling her a rapist. Whatever. What was the other thing? Dr. Mengele? Yeah, she was kind of like, the Black Widow mom. Yeah, she was kind of fucked up. Dr. Mengele? Really? But yeah, the WandaVision thing was absolutely addressed that, yeah, that was bad. What she did was bad. It wasn't treated like what she did was good. Yeah, and then they kicked her out for it. They put things right. Yeah, she did fix things. So things were back normal. But, like, it did not treat it like, oh, all is forgiven. It was very much treated like the town people were very much like, get the fuck out of here, bitch. Like, they were not happy. Ugh.
Yes, Queen!
And we'll get to that, but I'm starting to think that Hollywood has a lot of trouble with the whole right-wrong thing. Of course, Sam Raimi does bear some responsibility, but the lion's share, the majority, goes to Kevin Feige because this is a Kevin Feige production. This is not a movie. It is not a film. It is processed, overproduced content.
You gotta want it. This is your year.
Doctor Strange 2 is not a sequel to Doctor Strange, and it's not a Doctor Strange movie. It is a follow-up to WandaVision, a show that the writers of this film didn't watch. Now,
What? Okay. Yeah, no, it's clear this is a follow-up to Doctor Strange's story, which last time we saw his story was in, actually, I guess it was No Way Home. I was thinking it was Endgame. It's a follow-up to all that stuff, though. Like, Doctor Strange, honestly, was 6 years ago. It's kind of in the past. We've had Infinity War since then. We've had Endgame since then. We've had No Way Home since then. So, yeah, it's kind of more built off those than built off the original Doctor Strange, although it is built off the original Doctor Strange to a degree. And, of course, WandaVision is kind of a middle ground between Endgame and this for Wanda. Yeah.
Now, I understand why you didn't bring in the writer of WandaVision, Jack Schaefer, the woman who didn't know who Mephisto was.
Yeah, WandaVision was awesome. How dare you don't want a good writer there.
But I don't think it's a better decision to bring in the writer of Loki, which completely destroyed the Marvel Universe with its new rules and then didn't follow any of those rules.
Well, I don't know what rules he's talking about that broke, but whatever. I know it, like like, it set up rules and it broke them, but like that was part of the story that those rules were being broken. That's the only thing I can think of. But I haven't seen his coverage of that. We're not here to talk about that.
So to get this out of the way, was it woke? Yes, and we did get a first this week. It was the second part of an M-She-U double feature. And with the release of this photo of female Thor, Disney has achieved peak M-She-U. But that's not all. Disney Marvel has committed one of the worst crimes against imagination I have seen since not putting Han, Luke, and Leia in a scene together. And we'll get to that as well. And we also have to mention that Disney Marvel is hell-bent on assassinating all of their characters, and they waste no time in Doctor Strange 2. From this point on, there's going to be heavy spoilers, so you have been warned. The plot goes a little something like this. The girl who's the key to everything, America Chavez, the really popular Marvel Comics character, is able to travel through the multiverse. She is being hunted by something who wants to steal her power. The film starts out with America and Defenders Doctor Strange, not the Doctor Strange from the MCU, but it's an alternate version that is based on a version in the comic books, and they're running from a spaghetti monster. Now, remember spaghetti, because that comes up later. Very early on in the film, they establish that her powers are far too dangerous. If they get in the wrong hands, it could destroy the entire multiverse. The Doctor Strange protector realizes this when they are cornered, and it looks like that's it for them. So he decides to take her powers. He gets mortally wounded, but ends up saving her in the end as she gets scared because she can't control her powers and goes through a star-shaped portal. That also sucks through the dead body of that Doctor Strange. Quick aside, this Doctor Strange died a hero, although he was treated as a betrayer. He saved the entire multiverse. This cannot be undersold.
It's really a mixed bag. Yeah, he was gonna kill her though. That's the issue. He was going to kill her, and yeah, I mean that's the issue. He was gonna kill her for it.
And quite frankly, the stakes can't get any higher in any Marvel film from here on out. This was pointed out by Rags on EFAP when I was with him last Saturday, and he was right. Yeah, so I'm not really sure where you go from saving all possible multiverses unless you just need to continually save them. And I can hear you now. I watched Loki, and I thought there was a sacred timeline until very recently. That contradicts the branch that comes off the separate timeline in Endgame. The rules from Loki don't affect this movie just like they didn't affect No Way Home. As a matter of fact, it's best not to think about the rules of this film, along with not thinking about the writing, the plot, the characterization, logic, things like that. So we're a few minutes into the film and we've already killed a Doctor Strange, and the character assassination has only just begun. We arrive in the MCU universe, which does eventually get a designation, which we will talk about later. And apparently, Doctor Strange in the MCU dreamt all this. Then he's off to get cucked at Laura Palmer's wedding. Did I just say Laura Palmer? I meant Christine Palmer.
Off to get cucked. You know, that's actually part of his arc. He needs to learn to move on. There's really two big arcs for Doctor Strange here. He needs to learn to move on, and then he needs to learn to let somebody else take charge. Because, like, he was, like, one of the big guys, like, when it came to Infinity War. Like, it was his plan, and, like, he was like, you know, we gotta follow this plan perfectly. And part of the story is that he has to, like, let someone else be in charge for once. And then his other arc is moving on. Because he goes to that wedding. He gets all dressed up, but goes to that wedding. And I'm even thinking during that scene where I'm like, wow, you're going to her wedding? So you've really evolved to, like, a friendship. And then you see him at the wedding, and he is, like, staring at her longingly. And all I could think was, oh my God, dude, what are you doing there? You should not be here. And of course, it even comes up later when Wong finds out he went. Wong is, like, shocked, like, you went? But yeah, that's part of the story. He needs to learn to move on.
The wedding gets interrupted by our girl who's the key to everything, America Chavez. Little America Chavez is being pursued by a giant interdimensional demon.
You know, if he is upset that America Chavez is, like, the key to everything, he must hate something like the Terminator, where you have a good guy go back in time to fight a bad guy to protect a woman who is the key to everything. He must hate that.
known as Shumagorath in the comics, but Gargantos in this movie. Doctor Strange, who isn't the Sorcerer Supreme, and Wong, who is, team up to fight Gargantos, and dozens die in collateral damage. I might as well bring this up now so I don't have to bring it up again and again in the review. There are a lot of very effective and conveniently forgotten spells. Most specifically, the Sling Ring. A well-placed portal could have ended the Spaghetti Monster, Gargantos, Wanda, and our misery at any time.
All right. I got you, buddy.
The giant hands would have come in handy, the saw blade, the giant cat thing, any of these. But we're just going to let it rest because it just happens over and over again. And
well, I mean, I would argue one of the issues with Doctor Strange is that his powers are kind of vague. He can kind of do what is needed at the moment. I mean, there are obvious limits. He can't travel through time without the time stone. But yeah, it's kind of vague. It's kind of an issue of Doctor Strange. It's why, like lots of times when you read like some sort of Marvel multiverse thing, he's kind of like one of the main guys, because like you bring him down to like the normal hero level, and it's like he can just do too much. He's too much of a plot convenience lots of times. What makes Doctor Strange interesting is more his psychology than his powers, to be honest.
most of this film is, and then we get some exposition, and then we get some more exposition, and then...
No and then! No and then!
So let's talk about some exposition. They sit down in a cafe, and I have to point this out up front. The Defender Doctor Strange was after the Book of Vishanti, which is supposed to be a fairy tale, but Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme, knows about it because he was told in a secret book that the Sorcerer Supreme gets, alluding that Doctor Strange, when he was Sorcerer Supreme, blew it off, and it seems that everyone involved in this film either forgot or didn't watch the first Doctor Strange, the one where he becomes Sorcerer Supreme by excelling at reading a lot of books, remember?
Yes, but he also is a bit arrogant and will, like, blow off things. That's also established in that movie. He's not perfect. He doesn't catch everything because he's arrogant. He might have just been like, oh, I don't need that. He could easily be like that.
Remember, he was meant to be the best of them. So we've established that Doctor Strange is kind of dumb, which, quite frankly, he was in No Way Home, a film I liked, but he was the one thing I didn't like in it. And they really ram it home that he's not Sorcerer Supreme, so maybe by the end of the film, he'll be Sorcerer Supreme. Maybe we're tearing Doctor Strange down to build him up by the end. Don't get your hopes up. So America Chavez proves that the multiverse exists by showing Wong and Doctor Strange the dead body of Defender Strange. We also learn in the MCU that dreams are just windows into our multiversal selves. I wonder if there's a multiverse version of yours truly that just enjoys MCU films unquestionably, someone who's entertained for hours with fidget spinners, balls of string, and laser pointers. Based on the runes Doctor Strange saw on the two demons, one in a dream and one in real life, they figure out it's not sorcery, it's witchcraft. And we'll cut to the chase here. Doctor Strange does something incredibly stupid and says something incredibly dumb. He goes to Wanda because she knows something about witchcraft. How in the hell would he know that when she just learned it at the very end of WandaVision? Then he says this.
But you put things right in the end, and that was never in doubt.
Which sounds a lot like this.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
Just let us die.
There's a lot of blood on Monica Rambeau's hands. Remember in Pirates of the Caribbean 2 when they killed the Kraken off screen? Everyone thought that was lame. Well, apparently, Wanda has now been completely corrupted by the Darkhold off screen.
Well, I mean, that's what they were leading to at the end of WandaVision. Did you watch WandaVision? That's definitely something they were leading towards. But yeah, it's one of those things where it could have gone both ways. I was hoping maybe, like, she'd go down a dark path, but hopefully she wouldn't. Like, maybe in this movie she'd come in and, like, they could kind of help restrain her. But that's not the direction they went. They just had her go full-fledged dark path. And that's the other direction she could have gone in. We knew she was going in a dark path, though. We knew that was going to happen.
Turns out Wanda is the one who sent the demons after America Chavez, and it turns out Doctor Strange just told her exactly where she was. At Kamataj in the country of Tibet, with Wong, and it's all about to go down. The Scarlet Witch wants to steal America Chavez's ability to travel through the universe freely so she can be with her non-existent children. Doctor Strange's role in his own film is to simply protect the girl who is the key to everything from the bad woman with the bad MacGuffin book, and the only way to fight her is with the good MacGuffin book. Get it? Because Sam Raimi had a book in Evil Dead, and there's books in here, and it's directed by Sam Raimi, except the big difference is the Evil Dead series is good and this isn't. So there's a big showdown at Comitage where dozens die for the girl who's the key to everything.
I know I'm kind of just watching this, but like, God, it's boring. He's not giving me a whole lot to respond to. It's just kind of bad critique, and like, you gotta give me points to respond to, dude. Just saying, oh yeah, this sucks, I don't care. Cool, that's your opinion.
All for some children who never existed.
Yes. She's crazy. Do you not understand that about Wanda? She is crazy in this movie.
And one of the biggest flaws in this film is how Disney Marvel bends over backwards to try to make the Scarlet Witch sympathetic.
I mean, she's sympathetic to a degree, but yeah, she's straight up in villain mode in this, dude. She's murdering people.
Which she simply isn't.
I mean, did you not see all the guys she was killing? Yeah, no, they're setting it up to be like a sympathetic villain, but she's like straight up the villain. Dude, did you watch the movie?
Now we're off to the Multiverse of Madness, into the Illuminati dimension, and this is where the keys start jangling and then Disney Marvel drops them. And spoilers, they repeat the conclusion of this film over and over again. Wanda, your kids never existed. Wanda, the kids that are out there aren't yours. In the Illuminati dimension, we get some more exposition, including America Chavez's origin, where a lot of people, including yours truly, laughed out loud. An origin from the comics, but it's so bad and so intersectional feminist that they've already retconned it. She's from a dimension called Utopia. She has 2 lesbian mothers, and when she was young, she got stung by a bee, opened up a portal, and they got sucked through. That's what happens when there isn't a man around. She learned this by walking by the the Memory Cafe.
Yeah, it was a device, so essentially we could see the exposition instead of like have her explain it. And there is a little bit to like explain exactly what you saw, but like, don't you think it's better to have the important facts seen rather than just have them told? I always prefer it.
Meanwhile, in Comitage, one of Wong's students destroys the Darkhold. Turns out the Darkhold is a copy, and Scarlet Witch forces Wong to take her where it was written. And another reminder, the perceived through line of this film does not run through the titular character, Doctor Strange. It runs through the antagonist, Wanda.
I'm trying to get exactly the through line. I mean, she is kind of a major driving force behind the movie. So, I mean, that's very common in lots of superhero movies, though. I've brought this up before. Lots of times in superhero movies, it's the villain will end up pushing the story forward. It just happens. Like, you brought up Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2, a lot of that is Dr. Octopus pushing the story forward because he wants to make his machine. He's gone insane. He wants to make his machine. He pushes that story forward a lot. Now, you also have this sub-arc going on with Spider-Man losing his powers. And you also get something similar with Doctor Strange here. Granted, this isn't as good as Spider-Man 2. But, like, he's learning to move on. He's learning to maybe every once in a while let someone else be the big hero.
Who can dreamwalk, which is possessing the body of someone in another universe. In this case, it's herself. Back in the Illuminati universe, Doctor Strange and America Chavez decide to visit the other Doctor Strange, but he's dead, and they find out that the Sorcerer Supreme is Baron Mordo, who was part of the Illuminati. And yes, let's finally get to this scene because this is the single worst part of the movie. America and Doctor Strange run into Christine Palmer, and the Illuminati dimension is designated 838, and they designate Doctor Strange as being from the 616. Bullshit. The 616 is the Marvel Comics universe. The MCU is supposed to be the 199999.
Do you care? Like, I remember 616 being like the main universe in the comic book, and I just assumed they were saying the movies and the comics were different. I know there are some comic books based in the MCU. But yeah, they're just saying they're separate, but they're just kind of saying they're separate. Is that really the worst part of the movie? That's the worst part of the movie, that the MCU's labeled 616? God, it must be nice to be so caught up in such where the biggest issue you have is the labeling of the fucking MCU universe. Heck, maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe the Christine Palmer and 838 just labeled the universes these numbers, but there's somebody else who labeled the comic book universe a different number. So it's just a coincidence. Maybe that's it. I'll be blunt. I don't give a flying fuck. They're just fucking numbers.
Showing you they could give a crap about comic book fans. The Illuminati is Captain Carter, Captain Marvel, Baron Mordo, Black Bolt, Mr. Fantastic, and Professor X.
Oh my God! Wow!
That would be really cool if this wasn't a universe where everyone's IQ was room temperature. Or maybe that's just the writers. Meanwhile, Wong and Wanda go to Wundagore, say that 3 times fast, where the Darkhold is written all over the walls, and conveniently, it's a throne room for the Scarlet Witch so she can dreamwalk. The 838's universe Doctor Strange didn't die defeating Thanos. He was executed by the Illuminati because he was playing around with the Darkhold and caused an incursion, which apparently can happen when anybody travels to another universe. It confuses reality, and then it can destroy one or both universes that are involved in the incursion. Anywho, they are far more concerned with Doctor Strange than they are about the Scarlet Witch, and man, that might come and bite him in the butt a little later. So they're about to vote on Doctor Strange's fate, and guess what? Wanda shows up. John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic, Anson Mount's Black Bolt, Haley Atwell's Captain Carter, and Lashana Lynch, female 007 herself, all decide to take her on, and then they are killed in order of privilege. I shit you not.
Killed in order of privilege? Okay. You want to take it that way, sure. I guess Xavier's the most privileged then, because he dies last.
And this part is just so stupid. Okay, Mr. Fantastic. The first time you introduce Mr. Fantastic into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you kill him immediately.
616 is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is 838, Mr. Fantastic. Now, you want to argue, oh, he's in an MCU movie? Okay, yeah, sure. It's the first time we're seeing Mr. Fantastic in an MCU movie, but technically the Marvel Cinematic Universe is 616, dude.
He barely shows his powers. He's supposed to be the smartest man in the MCU, and he was a complete dumb.
You are aware that this was kind of just meant to be like cameo fest, some throwaway characters, kind of just for fun, and it kind of ups the stakes as well, you know, seeing some characters we've never seen before, and some decently powerful characters, not really Mr. Fantastic. He's smart, but he's not powerful. Get destroyed by Wanda, kind of just to establish her power, which is kind of cool, because a lot of these characters are characters we know. Like, we know Xavier's really powerful. We know Captain Marvel's really powerful. We know, I guess we don't know Black Bolt's really powerful, but he is really powerful. So seeing her take out all those characters kind of does a good job of establishing her power level and what we're really up against with Wanda. And just, it's also kind of the graphic nature of some of the deaths. Really shows how just insane she is.
Wanda was able to remove Black Bolt's mouth and pop his brain. And our two heroes, one of them who could sling a shield made out of vibranium and the other one can shoot lasers out of her hands, stood there and did f*** all. But that was so they could have a big, long girl fight. Admit.
Dude, did you see how quickly she took care of Reed Richards and Black Bolt? They did not take long.
The beautiful Haley Atwell gets cut in half, and I'm no fan of Captain Marvel, but how do you kill her by throwing a statue on her? A statue of Brie Larson, Captain Marvel? The one who flew through a ship in Endgame? Okay, that was funny. Where's Doctor Strange in all this? Well, he has a fight with Baron Mordo, and he just leaves him in some crevice, never to be seen again.
That's true, but it's not even our Mordo. This is just a Mordo we've seen in this universe. I'm not expecting a huge arc with this Mordo. I was a little disappointed we didn't get to see the main Marvel Cinematic Universe Mordo, though. His story's not expanded on at all.
Then there's Professor X, who can battle in the psychic plane as a level 5 mutant, could have scrambled Wanda's brains whenever he wanted, I guess except in this universe where it's simpleton Professor X who just allowed Wanda to break his neck.
Okay, so the power levels of mutants hasn't been established yet in the movies. But yeah, it kind of just established how powerful she is. And Wanda in the comic books, she's actually less powerful in the movies than she is in the comic books. She's insanely powerful in the comic books. Did you read House of M? Like, she rewrites the entire universe a couple of times.
But the Easter eggs and the cameos and the keys jangling. You know what a Disney Marvel fan's favorite thing is? The next Disney Marvel thing. So America Chavez saves herself. She's with Christine Palmer. They run into Doctor Strange. Professor X told him that the Vishanti Good Book of MacGuffin is at the base. They find it and Wanda catches up and immediately destroys it. Dreamwalking Wanda is able to get America Chavez and expel Doctor Strange and Christine Palmer. Now a bit earlier, Wong tried to plead with Wanda that isn't it enough to know that your kids are out there and they're being taken care of, and she threw Wong off Wondergore because he was mansplaining.
She threw him off because she's insane. Just saying.
Doctor Strange and Christine Palmer end up in a universe that has been wiped out by an incursion, and of course it was the Doctor Strange of this universe's fault.
You do understand that was the other idea, that like he's coming across all these Doctor Stranges who keep fucking up. And part of it is that he can do better, and he does do better. It's also part of the letting other people take charge. All these Doctor Stranges, like you're killing off Thanos. This guy just went insane and kind of wiped out his whole world. It's him just going too far, not letting other people like try to handle disasters and shit. That's part of what his arc is. Do you not get it? Because I thought it was explained pretty clearly. The MCU Doctor Strange is able to let somebody else take charge, and thus the MCU is not completely fucked up right now.
Christine Palmer reminds this Doctor Strange that Doctor Strange didn't do a very good job of stopping the incursion. It's almost like Victoria Alonso wrote the script for this.
We're here. We waited and waited and waited.
Yes.
Cheeky and cheeky and as cheeky Chavez as you can have it. America Chavez! 2D. In 3D.
So many options.
In 3D IMAX.
4D.
4D. Whatever D you want.
Because I want to be done talking about this movie, let's just get to the end. And I predicted the minute I learned that Scarlet Witch was going to be in this film, and I wasn't the only one. I thought Doctor Strange would probably end up fighting himself, and Wanda would end up defeating herself. Now that Wanda has America Chavez, does she just immediately rip out her powers? No, she dicks around and waits for Doctor Strange to save her. I'm sorry, she waits around so a zombie version of
Did you not dig these? I dug the zombie version. Sam Raimi was having fun doing a zombie version of Doctor Strange. I love all the evil spirits turning into his cloak and like the cloak just like reaching out for arms. That was fucking cool.
Doctor Strange can give America Chavez a pep talk so it completes her hero's journey.
I really don't like the hero's journey. Women can have a hero's journey as well. You don't. And I also like the idea of hero turning into a gender neutral term because heroin's kind of weird. Heroin's also a drug, and we're not talking about that.
She was great all along. Yeah, Doctor Strange kills the other Doctor Strange, gets the Darkhold, and Dream walks into his zombie self that died earlier on in the film. Yes, this was a very cool, short-lived Raimi scene.
Well, the zombie version does one of the most important things, because America is actually saying, I understand why the earlier Doctor Strange wanted to kill me. We have to stop her. You have to kill me, because I can control my power. And that's when zombie Doctor Strange says, no, I'm not going to kill you. You can control your power. You just got to be, like, confident about it. You got to just do it with confidence. Use your power. Don't be afraid of your power. That's what he teaches her. And that's what she does in the end.
America fights Wanda a little bit, and then she gives her what she wants. She opens a portal to the other Wanda and her kids, and then she gets to see what everyone's been telling her the entire movie.
Okay, you understand when you tell somebody something, it doesn't have the same impact as them experiencing it. When you, if you've ever had to train somebody, you know that when you train somebody, it like just telling them, you can't just tell them exactly what to do. You gotta let them figure out things a lot. And you can't be afraid to let them figure out things. And just constantly explaining things to them doesn't necessarily work. Maybe it can, but like when you're dealing with somebody whose emotions are tangled up in something, then yeah, it won't work unless they learn themselves.
She never had kids. The kids in the other universe belong to someone else, and as Wanda says to herself, they are loved. Then Wanda throws a mountain on herself and destroys the Darkhold in every universe. Well, that about wraps it up for Doctor Strange 2. America Chavez is fine and goes off to train at Comitage with the Sorcerer Supreme Wong, because Doctor Strange is still not the Sorcerer Supreme. 838 Christine Palmer goes back home. Doctor Strange gets a third eye and meets Clea from Marvel on Ice. Yes, it's Charlize Theron as Clea, and her costume's the worst one I've ever seen. It looked like a 90s superhero TV show. This film was a hot mess narratively, structurally. There was no real plot.
There was no plot? There was no plot? I already said, it's like a lot of ways you can describe the plot. It's like the same plot from the Terminator. Almost exactly. I bet you he likes the Terminator, but probably not. These guys, I don't know. I don't know with these guys.
I have so many questions. I will not get to all of them. In all of these multiverses, in all of these realities, where was Quicksilver? Where was Vision? Where was Kang?
This movie only really has 3 universes that we actually visit. There's only 3, and one of them's completely fucked. There's only 2. Like, there's the one with the Illuminati, and then our main universe. Those are the only 2 that we mainly hang out in. There's one that's wrecked that we spend a lot of time, and that's the 3rd one. And we don't see a lot in there. We go to Sanctum Sanctorum, and Doctor Strange is the only character we see in that universe, period.
The descendant of Reed Richards. Why weren't any of the multiversal events connected to Loki or Spider-Man No Way Home?
I mean, how do you want them to connect? They're just different multiverse period things. How do you want them to connect? I don't know what you're asking. They're just different multiverse stories. That's it.
Or WandaVision, where were the Nexus events?
Okay, but the TVA was destroyed. It's been a while since I've seen Loki, but the TVA was destroyed, wasn't it? You're not going to have anybody dealing with Nexus events anymore.
Why didn't Defender Doctor Strange use his sling ring? Or Wong, or Doctor Strange, or any one of the sorcerers at Comitage? Where was Marvel's Katie? Where were the Celestials? The Eternals?
Is he just going to ask where's everybody in the MCU? It's one of the issues. You could always argue this, but one of the issues when you start dealing with the cinematic universe is like, hey, not everybody's going to be there. Not everybody's going to be in every single movie. Where are the Eternals? The Eternals were in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Where are they in the 838 universe? I don't fucking even know if they have Eternals in the 838 universe.
The gods, the other Avengers. I would say the entire multiverse being at stake is kind of a big stake.
Yes, but traveling the multiverse is not a thing easily done. They even explain the place where the Darkhold is, the cave that's supposed to be the Scarlet Witch's throne. You can't sling ring up there. They had to fly up there. It's not easily reached. They explain that.
Why wasn't Christine Palmer the least bit bothered by the death of all her coworkers? Why did 2 heroes just stand there with their thumbs up their ass?
While she spent like a minute, she killed them in like 30 seconds? They died so fast. What did you expect them to do? You expect to throw a shield and stop Black Bolt from screaming and blowing out his brain?
While Black Bolt got his brain popped and Mr. Fantastic was turned into spaghetti. Why have we gotten America Chavez, the Scarlet Scarab, 2 female versions of Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, female Thor, and Echo before we get the Fantastic Four, Namor, the Silver Surfer?
It's rights. I'm not even sure if they have the rights to Namor. I think they might now. But that's like fairly recent. And then the Fantastic Four, like what? Like they've had those rights for maybe a couple years, but not super long. A lot of this stuff's in development, dude. Fantastic Four is definitely coming out. They're probably holding off on X-Men a little bit because it's been already done to death and kind of let it cool off. But yeah, it was a rights thing. Fox had those rights. Are you not paying attention?
Galactus and Doctor Doom and the X-Men. We did get the answer to one question. We know why Scott Derrickson left. And the continued character assassination in Marvel films. And it wasn't just Doctor Strange, but we'll start there. Not the Sorcerer Supreme, told constantly he blew it with Christine Palmer.
Well, he did blow it with Christine Palmer, so I don't know. I don't recall anybody telling him he blew it with Christine Palmer, except from himself. He blames himself for that, which he should.
And he does in every multiverse. Christine Palmer at one point tells him how to use his powers. Evil Doctor Strange at the end was killing all of the other Doctor Stranges in the multiverse because of Christine Palmer. Let's not forget, currently in Marvel Comics, Doctor Strange is dead. And essentially the personal journey in his own film was to give a zombie pep talk to the girl who's the key to everything and be told by Christine Palmer that he's scared to love.
Well, it's to move on. Moving on is one of the most important things in life, and we as human beings are really bad at moving on. I know I'm not great at it, but it is the most, probably the best advice you give to anybody who's in any type of pain. You just have to move on. And how do you move on? Do you move on by getting revenge? Do you move on by, beating up somebody? No, you move on by just evolving with your life, by living the next day. And it's tough. It's brutal. It's established here how much he loves Christine Palmer. In fact, one of the things I like is that, she felt like a tacked-on character in the first Doctor Strange. And here she's really very important. And I get much more the sense of the relationship they had, because she scarred him. And he regrets how he treated her. And I really like how this movie handles that. I get much more a sense of their relationship, even though the chances of them actually hooking up in this movie are non-existent. I get more of that feeling. They handle it well. And the idea is he just needs to move on from that. And what I love is that it plays counter to Wanda's story because she's not moving on. They set up Wanda perfectly to be the villain in this, but they also set her up to be the opposite of Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange and her are both having issues moving on from their own issues. Doctor Strange's having issues moving on from Christine Palmer. Wanda's having issues moving on from her son. The difference is Wanda takes it to the next level. Wanda decides, fuck it, I don't have to move on. I'm just going to keep on going after them. Whereas Doctor Strange is really trying to move on, but doing a shitty job. He goes to his fucking ex's wedding because he's not doing well. But that's it. He does eventually evolve to the point where he's ready to move on. He can tell Christine Palmer's, the 838 Christine Palmer, that how he feels about her, something he definitely shouldn't be telling 616, who's just getting married. You can't tell somebody that on their wedding. Which is nice. It's something that can only happen in a movie like this, because in real life, you just got to keep that shit to yourself.
He doesn't finish off the bad guy in his own film. Hell, he wasn't there. And as far as Wanda is concerned, what a mess. Just like with Thor, who is going to find himself for about the 8th movie in a row, we have Wanda constantly in grief. And, well, thankfully she put herself out of her misery and put us out of her misery. And I like Scarlet Witch. And sure, they pulled from individual elements from the comics, but without all of those other characters who are in those comics, it's meaningless. Just like Wanda's logic, morality, sacrifice, and this film. And what's the overall message? Well, I don't know, other than if WandaVision was about a woman whose vibrator broke, then this one may be about what happens to a woman when she waits too long to have kids.
I already said this one's about moving on. If you don't get that, then makes me wonder about your relationship experience. But, you seem very incelish, so maybe that's not something you have a whole lot of experience in.
How it should have ended is going to have a field day with this one. I'm guessing one of their endings involves cats and a frackin' sling ring. And yes, this movie's going to make a lot of money. All right, more crap. This ends our Disney M-She-U double feature. We started out with Moon Knight and we ended with Wanda and the Multiverse of Madness, guest starring America Chavez and Doctor Strange.
Guest starring Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange has by far the biggest role in that movie. He is definitely the main character in that movie. So yeah, that was a really, really bad video. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm not even sure if he watched the same movie as I did. He talks about liking Spider-Man 2, and I would argue a lot of this movie is kind of a combination of, I already brought up the Terminator, it's kind of a combination of the Terminator and Spider-Man 2 in a lot of ways from the plot. A lot of the villain story is kind of Spider-Man 2-ish. You have somebody who is essentially a good guy. You don't see them devolve. You see that more in WandaVision. But she becomes the villain. And then you get the Terminator story with America Chavez as Sarah Connor. And Doctor Strange is, what's his name? Reese. What's his first name? I don't remember Reese's first name. Oh, well, you'll probably remind me in the comments. Doctor Strange is Reese, and then you get Wanda as essentially the Terminator, which kind of fits. She's kind of, they're both the Terminator and Wanda are very single-minded in their ambitions in these movies. And then her story is a lot like Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2. She's insane. She's driven insane by what happened. But then she sees the light at the end. She can be reasoned with. And then she sacrifices herself to resolve everything, which is Spider-Man 2. It's very derivative of that. It's not as good as Spider-Man 2, but it's I thought Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was actually a very good movie. I'm not shocked this guy didn't like it, because this guy has no real movie critique skills. He just seems to be stuck on the idea, oh, women are in this movie, and women are doing something. It's really sexist. It's really bad. And it really infuriates me how the MCU really seems to be taking off way, way more than it should. Kind of scary that this is where movie critique is going to. Kind of sad. But hey, I will be here to correct it and fight this stupid MCU garbage. And just ask people actually fucking critique movies. Don't just get stuck on, oh, this character's a woman. Because you know what? You could make the argument there are writers who are bad at writing women. I would say those writers are just bad writers. Because if you're going to write a woman, you write them as just a person. That's all you gotta do. But yeah, a bad writer might not know how to write a woman. And yeah, that's an entirely different issue. Then that's a poorly written character. That's not something I see in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. They seem like all decent characters. But what also strikes me is a lot of the people who would probably make this argument are people who they themselves don't understand how to write for women, because they don't understand that women are just people. And it's really kind of scary how many people are like this. And the internet has kind of shown that there's a lot of people like this. So while these people exist, I guess I will continue to have content to dunk on. Yeah, I'm planning on covering more MCU content, but from other creators. I've seen more people are doing MCU stuff, which is scaring the shit out of me. I hate the idea of this taking off. But you know what? I'm going to be here to fight it, because this is a bad movement. It's very bad.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.